Hey everybody, good evening and welcome back to yet another episode of the antsmarching.org podcast. I am Matt and I am once again here with Joe M. Joe, how are you? Are you back home?
I am back home for a hot second. After traveling for the last couple weeks, I got home a little bit ago, threw all the laundry into the machine and said, what's the next thing I should do? I should jump and do a podcast with Matt. That was my second thought after laundry.
Priorities. I mean, you were at a 2-night stand, so you probably had to wash, 8 or 9 different shirts that you went for throughout the weekend?
It's not that far off.
I know.
You have to have a tailgate outfit, clothing, if you're going to call it outfit. And then you have to have a show outfit, clothing. Then you got pajamas. Then you got brunch outfit. I mean, yeah, it adds up pretty quickly.
You know, he's absolutely dead serious, everybody listening to. So I don't know what to say, but yeah. Well, I don't know if it's warm over there. It's an 80-degree sunny weekend day here in outside Seattle. So I'm having a LaCroix again, the pamplemousse, the variety, because grapefruit is just too difficult to say nowadays. So I'm gonna.
It'll be the fancy version.
Oh.
Yeah. I can taste the bubbles over your tongue.
I don't like water, so this is the next best thing. I like it.
Oh, really?
Like just cold, plain, flat water? No, I don't like it. I like bubbles.
You want something different?
Mm-hmm.
Could you do the non-flavored bubbles?
I do, actually, but I end up putting squeezed fresh lime in there.
So you have to still have something?
I need something, yeah. I'm too complex for just plain water.
Too sophisticated.
Are you partaking in anything over there?
I am. Coming back from Deer Creek, emptying the cooler out. I still have beers in there that didn't get drank. And so this one comes from a friend, Lisa, who gave me some zombie dust.
Oh, my goodness.
From Three Floyds. Familiar?
I'm very familiar. Do you have any more?
Why did your jaw hit the floor right there?
That's really good beer.
Is it? Oh, yeah. I mean, I was very thankful to get it. So I'm going to... Oh, okay. There it goes. All the way to the floor. Yep. So I'm going to enjoy some zombie dust while you enjoy your LaCroix.
I'm very jealous. I bet that's delicious.
Very good.
Yeah. Do you have any more?
I have one more.
Oh, all right, never mind.
And then I have another. She also left like a large format bottle in there, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to return it or not. Maybe after the break, I'll break that out.
Oh, okay. Depends.
I'll show it to you and see if you. I won't not drink it, but I'll show it to you and see if you recognize it.
Okay. I will look forward to that. So anyway, last time we met, we had 10 shows in between our last podcast and the current one, and now we've just got 2 shows to talk about, and yet I feel like we have more to talk about in this episode coming up. So you were at Deer Creek, is that correct?
I was.
What's it called now? Is it even called? What is the venue? We call it Deer Creek, and I think that'll be forever. But
something home mortgage center with a 800 number in it or something.
Ruoff Home Mortgage Music Center.
Not a single person called it by that name the entire weekend. Nope. They called it the Creekend.
Creekend, okay.
Yeah, welcome to the Creekend.
You're on your Dave-cation during the Creekend.
Yes. Gonna have me some fun.
Okay. So overall, the community obviously took this a lot better. I mean, night 1 was an average of 4.55 review, and night 2 was a 4.61. Pretty highly overall reviews on those shows. How did you feel about them?
I thought they were really good shows. The weather is playing into it. I mean, that's one of my first things. The weather was absolutely beautiful. 80-degree pre-show temperatures, dipping down to mid-70s, low 70s showtime, which I don't know. If you're going to perform on stage and it's 80 degrees plus, that's just miserable. No matter how many – they pump air conditioning onto the stage for the band and they have fans and everything. But, yeah, I mean, that's like trying to run a marathon in 100-degree weather. So when the weather's a lot lower, I think that helps with the band's energy and ends up being some good shows. And I think this was perfect summer concert weather. And it led in part, not the only reasons, not only weather based, but in part to, I think, some awesome energy on stage. They had the help of some pretty fun set lists too. and the place was packed. I don't know what the final numbers were for attendance, but Lawn was looking very full. And Lawn is actually a great place to see a concert at Deer Creek. I think arguably it's even better than sound wise than in the Pavilion. Some of these cookie cutter pavilions, which unfortunately Deer Creek is, can't be, maybe not the best for sound.
Right? I've never been to Deer Creek, Joe, but some of the pictures, like Crumbo was sending us some pictures outside from his spot, and it almost looks like a high school stage because it looks very narrow. Like it almost feels like I'm in some small auditorium. Is the Pavilion bigger? Was it just the picture that gave me that impression?
The Pavilion's pretty decent size. The seats go to the extremes, but indeed the stage is very narrow. Like the crew has to set up on the outside of the stage.
Does the Pavilion go wide, or does it stay pretty narrow?
It goes wide, wide like a V, and that's where my seats were. Unfortunately, we were sitting in the uppers, off to the far sides, so had about a zero view of the screen. Which is suck for. I mean, I've been lucky enough to go to a couple shows, right? So I've seen the screen and seen the lights and can appreciate those. But I feel bad for somebody that's the only shows that they get to see, and they're sitting those sides, the wings of the V, and they don't really get to see the full light experience, the full screen experience. And Deer Creek doesn't have screens for the Pavilion to see. Most venues have screens to the side of the stage or inside the Pavilion. They only have them for the Lawn. Huh. That's very disappointing.
Well, it almost looked like, because of the narrow stage, it almost looked like there were these wall stacks on either side of the stage, and it made it seem like if you were out way to the right, that could potentially be in your way in view of the stage. Is that just a
speaker stacks you're talking about?
No. Oh. The structure, basically.
Yeah. I think the structure, then as a result, the speaker stacks, it's a narrow viewing angle from Deer Creek, and we were from the sides, but the Lawn was packed, and the Lawn I think has a great sound. You don't have any of that building structure to affect the sound. So I think listening from the Lawn, you get some superior sound quality actually, and you have the screens, and I think it's one of the better places probably to watch a show. It's I don't know if I'd call it alpine, but Deer Creek is in that class.
Well, it's still open.
It's still open, still getting shows. It was actually the 40th show at Deer Creek.
Friday or Saturday?
I'm pretty sure it was Saturday. It was the 40th full band. I think if you count, there was maybe a Farm Aid and something else there. So maybe it goes up a full band 40, which to think about, Gorge just hit 50. Not that a year or in 2016, I want to say, right?
I was just about to ask you if there's ever been a single night at Deer Creek.
And I'd have to look it up. No, I don't know. I'm sure there has.
There was. Their first 2 years, 96 and 97, were one night, and then they went to 2 nights. There were even a few 3-night years there. Yep.
Yeah. Deer Creek, definitely a staple. Hasn't taken the breaks like Alpine has, and even Gorge early on had some breaks, but Deer Creek's been steady on it. So that adds to the energy, and I think it brings kind of an elevated show because of that, and that's why people will make the trek to come to Deer Creek.
So the big story about night one, well, there are a couple big stories. One of them was that it was the first Friday night concert series streamed live on DMB Radio on Sirius XM. So there was a lot of speculation as to what are we going to get here? Is this going to be a radio hits kind of show, right, for lack of a better term,
right?
Or is the band going to bring it? I think in the past, if the stream was any kind of influence, I think that actually serves to kind of be on the more disappointing end. The band's a little safer, a little more on their well-worn songs, really not tending to go outside their comfort zone, so to speak. We did not get that for part of this, or at least the first half of the show Friday night. Would you agree?
Yeah, the first show started off crazy. I think if somebody would have asked me before the show, what do I expect to be different because the show is being live streamed, I told people zero. I don't even think the band even pays attention or knows.
Right.
Yes, they recorded a promo, and yes, they know. But as far as planning the set list or the actual show, they don't think twice about it. Dave didn't even mention when they did the Camden live video, didn't even give a shout out to it. So I don't think they changed anything, and if it wasn't being streamed, I think we would have got the exact same night one set list. But yeah, quite the surprise. We had the pretty standard opener of a "Come Tomorrow" song, and really one of the three or four rotated "Come Tomorrow" opener songs, and then you get your traditional, usually opener in the slot 2 position.
You get a One Sweet World or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was like. Okay, here it comes, and then.
Played not by a violin.
Not by a violin.
Trumpet.
By a trumpet with a mute on, I believe.
Sure.
Rashawn doing it.
Sure.
I mean, it sounds good.
Best Rashawn is muted, Rashawn.
Oh, man. I thought he did a great job on it.
It sounded good.
If I was, definitely worried that what would happen with Pig with no Boyd, it's nice that to see that Pig has not gone away, and we get to still hear it.
Yeah, and to be frank, Pig was never a staple, right? I mean, there's even when it is played, it's played sporadically.
Right.
So it is a special tune. So I mean,
and it's one that people really like and like they really want to hear. It's like it's surprising how many people love Pig, love Pig, and want to hear Pig. Bring Pig, blow up Pigs to the concerts or searching for Pig. I mean, it's a popular song.
Mm-hmm. I mean, kind of on the back end of Before These Go to the Streets, it's easy to start to forget about songs as you get towards the end of the album. But, I mean, right after Dreaming Tree, right, on the album, and right before Spoon, to cap it, it's a... is that in the right direction? Dreaming Tree's before Pig? Oh, boy.
You're going to ask me.
Oh, boy. I think I'm right there. Anyway, yeah, for not being a really... often played song, it does have a whole. Well, its historical rarity is a little under 11%. So historically, it gets played 1 out of every 10 shows, roughly.
Wow,
doesn't feel like that often.
Doesn't feel like that anywhere close to that. No,
right. It was played. We had a big gap. 2010 to 12. Well, the Caravan and all that. But yeah, I mean, not a lot at all. We had that big Pig tease back in where they went crazy with it back in, I think, early 2000s or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's a great song. It's well revered by the entire community essentially. It's a great little spot too. You got to be thinking what's coming. I mean, it can go both ways, right? Because it's like, okay, there's a high. Are we going to settle back into this tour, or are things going to keep going?
Right.
So now you've got Satellite, which comes after that. Which, okay, fine, it's pretty typical.
Right.
And then an early Billy's, which is, I mean, talk about keeping the energy level, back up there early on.
Yep.
You've got Again and Again. You get the second Sledgehammer of the tour, which I like. I don't know how you feel about it.
Oh, I love it. And with Buddy doing the intro, I don't know what you call it. Very accurate, yes.
Yeah.
The energy is just so cool because he'll do that first part and then just wait. And yeah, everyone just starts screaming. It's a really cool intro. I wish they would do some other songs, kind of like a slow build intro like that, just kind of like tease you and then hit you with it.
Yeah. Well, after that, then my favorite song of Dave Matthews Band, period, gets played. The Stone. The Stone comes out. And
yes.
At this point, what are you thinking?
I'm like, wow. I can't believe this. Where is this show going at this point? Yeah, the show has given me no reason to have any negative. If a show flow, I'm all positives.
And the Stones' average historical rarity is 21%. So 1 out of every 5 shows is the Stone. And to our earlier,
that can't be true.
It is true. It's. The fact that you say that tells you how much this band has lost their way recently, because it's a distant memory as far as you're concerned.
I mean, this has to factor in the Stone when it was getting played back in when it first came out and getting played. That's bumping its average up.
That was 20 years ago, Joe.
Yeah, but that's when the song came out, and yes, it's going to get played more often then.
Yep. So it's good to hear. My point is, if the Stone was played once out of every 5 shows this tour, that would be awesome. I would love that. That 1 out of every 5 seems to be good. But we'll see where it goes, right? We'll see if it now enters the rotation. this tour. And then, of course, after that, not that it's a rare song, but it might be the most popular Dave Matthews Band song. Period. You poll 1 million people, you're probably going to think 41's probably going to be the song, right?
No, not the top song. I mean, it's a very popular song and people want to hear it. But I mean, even when we did our poll, 10 years ago, it was up there, but it wasn't the first song.
I would argue, and I'm not talking about hardcores. I'm talking about everyone who's at that concert. Maybe 41 or what? Crush, maybe?
You don't want to hear the answer.
What, you think Ants?
It's Jimmy.
You're out of your mind.
Of non-hardcore?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I hear it all the time just standing around concerts. I hope they play Jimmy. I hope they play Jimmy. Oh, it's, again, non-hardcore. Yes.
Oh, I'm nauseous.
I mean, the show starts really, really good, and it was a blast. Now, I would say it hit all the songs. The other half of the show hit all the songs that are checked as in a 2-night weekend. They kind of got them all out in the first night. Like a show that has both Satellite, Crash Into Me, and You and Me in it in the main set. Mm-hmm. Ugh, I mean, that's an overload. Usually you're going to have one of those in a show, but they got them all out then.
And put a pin in that thought right there. Keep going, but I want to revisit that point.
Okay. And then, we get Jimmy Thing and Bayou, which again are like these, hey, every other 50% songs, that we're seeing every other show, or every show in the case of Bayou. We get those. We get Samurai Cop again. That's every show, but all the songs with like really, really high, appearances, low rarity. It was all loaded up in the night one, balanced with Sledgehammer, Stone, and Pig, but it got a lot of stuff out of the way. Do you remember She, again and again? All those new songs were there, so it really opened up the set. I was really excited about night two because of all those typical check boxes had been filled in night one.
Right. And I would say after the strong first half of the show, I'd say that the second half probably ends up being a little bit more stock for the tour. No real surprises. I think Jimmy as a closer is a real big letdown for me. Again, I think Jimmy is a great 7-minute song, and they haven't done that in a long time. Mm-hmm. But past that, I don't want to see it as a closer. I think Sexy MFer is gross, and I just... Yeah, I don't want that to close a set.
It's popular. It's popular at the shows amongst the crowd. Not my pick. Like I said, I thought in the last podcast that, hey, I'm okay with it as a closer because it mixed things up. And they kind of mixed things up again on night one, too, by doing a too much. The space between and too much. Again, not your typical closer. So if I, drink my own champagne or whatever, speak my own words, I would say, okay, I still like it. They're mixing it up. You didn't get the standard closer song, so I'll take too much there. I don't like the trend that it's only a kind of single songs. I would love it if it went for another song after that too, but that seems to be the trend for this year.
Well, so then night two comes, and I think this is. For the setlist game, people say, it's easier. They think the night ones are tough, and the night two is just, okay, they're in the wheelhouse now. We can kind of see what's left, what they're going to play up to this point in the tour. And when I'm looking at the number of plays for each one of these songs, I'm seeing an awful lot of single-digit play numbers, and that's more like it. This was the 25th song or 25th show of the tour, right? So when I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of the 20 songs played have been played 9 or fewer times this tour, which means 1 out of every 3, roughly, or fewer.
Okay.
That's more like it. Well, That Girl Is You and What Would You Say both played 11 and 12 times, respectively. But then you've got Stay or Leave. That's the 3rd time we've heard that this tour. So much. The 5th. Gray Street, 9. Even that's not being really overplayed at this point. Come Tomorrow, 9 times. It's an album song. There's no point to be made on that. They could play that every show and it could be understood, at least, right? And then you've got So Right, it's 5th play of the tour. And then a Liberation.
The exciting liberation.
Yeah, that overshadowed all other revelations that night is Hunger for the Great Light shows up.
Oh, great.
Hey, calm down, Joe.
light.
Calm down. The last time it was played was Amsterdam. It wasn't even on this country. It was November in 2015, and then prior to that, they played it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in the summer 2015 tour. So it wasn't a staple, but it wasn't exactly hiding either.
It's cool. Got something new.
Yep. The average historical rarity, you're gonna love this, 14%.
Wow, that's a good average.
14% is its average. Yeah.
Now, I mean, it helps that they're introducing new songs. Like, I mean, some of these songs were just recently introduced. Like, they're not songs like, hey, I played in the first 5 shows, they went away and came back. They're newly introduced songs, so that's helping. It'd be cool if
this makes me want to go to a show.
Yeah.
Not Hunger by itself, but yes, the fact that, hey, maybe they give a crap and something that unexpected is going to come out.
Right.
And so I was very happy to see that, even if I don't care for Hunger for the Great Light, right?
Right.
You've got You Might Die Trying, 9 plays. Can't Stop. Nancy's Warehouse, 7 for Nancy's. Here on Out came around. I thought right after dancing Nancy's and Warehouse, it's kind of, I don't know how you felt, Joe. Is that weird to have a low energy song after that, or is that actually plays perfectly?
Yeah, it plays good. You need to kind of cool things off.
Okay.
So it works good.
We have the revamped Lying in the Hands of God coming after that, which I think I like. I've always liked that song, actually. I think.
Yeah, it's one of the few long songs. Usually the long songs are my time to, knock out a bathroom, grab a beer, say hi to people, or go to some other seats. I'll try to knock those out in those long songs. Lying in the Hands of God is a tough one for me to leave. I enjoy it too much. I stick around for it.
I don't think the band has another song that sounds like it either.
Right.
I just find it such a unique sound for them. I don't know.
Refreshing.
I really liked it. Yeah. It's soft and gentle. It's contemplative. It's I don't know. I have really good feelings when I think about that song. Then we get our second rhyme and reason of the tour. I mean, there we go. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be this spotlight. It's just something like that. Solid song, well-liked song, not played to death, but not gone forever. Shake Me Like a Monkey gets its 4th play. Granny sees its 8th play, and then, oh my goodness, I mean, Knock Me Over with a Feather. They played two-step because they haven't played that one out of every 2 shows for the last 30 years. But hey, it's the first time this tour, so what can I say, right?
It's not just the first time this year. There's a little bit more behind it than that.
Tell me.
Well, it took obviously 17 off, but it took a majority of 16 off.
4,
it only
5,
got
6,
played
7, 8.
Only got played 5 times.
6.
In full band.
You're right. 5 times full band.
And one of those 5 was not Deer Creek. It hit like Alpine, Spack Gorge, West Palm, I think, and then somewhere else. So for Deer Creek, it hasn't been around, I think, since 14, if I remember from the venue stats. So it's been a while for not only two-step in general, but also two-step at Deer Creek.
Yeah.
It's been a long time missing, and everybody's wondering, is it coming back? And I've been jokingly telling everybody this tour that two-step is gone. They're never playing it again. I'm sad that I can't keep using that joke, or I guess I could, but it doesn't have as much credibility anymore now that they played it again.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to see the variety, and two-step is a classic song for the band, whether they play the old 7-minute version that they did in Red Rocks 95 or the 20-minute monsters that the songs become. I think in past podcasts I probably groused a little bit because it was played often and long, and at a certain point I was just I wanted variety. I think 5 times last tour. Again, I don't mind when the songs are spread out more and not you're going to get it. Chances are at a 2-night stand. It make me question if I'm going to get it or not, but that kind of surprise I like. Yeah. What made me kind of roll my eyes a little bit was the proclamation that these shows are like live tracks bound and the greatest 2-night stand ever, and it just shows how starved how starved this fan base is that they pull out two-step after not playing it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes. And all of a sudden the show is just, find me my fainting couch. My goodness, they played two-step. And I'm not knocking it, but what you're seeing, I think, is the overcorrection. Because things have been so dire, there's been so much complaining, and for good reason, that now they play a good song, and it doesn't mean it's the greatest show ever. Just be pleased with it and say, okay, keep it up, guys. Keep it up. That's what I want. I want to pump the brakes and not say it's not great, but we'll see. Like, excellent, awesome. I love the shows, and I did like the 2-night stand on paper. I was pleased with it. Now let's keep this going.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's the keep it going thread, but I think we can say that this is an awesome 2-night stand, and that's promising. Yes, it doesn't mean anything like you said, but that's pretty awesome. This 2-night stand at Deer Creek, the 2-step piece, like I said, it's maybe it doesn't feel like anything special, but it meant a lot to be at a show, to be at a venue where it hasn't been played in a long time, and it was an awesome performance. And maybe sometimes people make comments about Carter.
Yeah, what's that about?
I don't know what that's about, but he was all over 2-step.
Yeah.
He didn't waste it of showing off 2-step.
Yeah. So no worries about his age or whatever the latest theory is. I mean, my goodness. Certainly, Carter's a human being and there's a physical aspect to drumming, but I don't see that being a valid theory.
He hasn't lowered his quality. You can't deny age, and I mean the guy is phenomenal for his age and what he's doing. I mean the guy runs a marathon on stage, every show 4 times a week. If they're playing 4 shows, and he's just insane. I do worry, at any given point. The body, any given point, you could hurt your shoulder or something, and I would hate for that to happen. Just something, just any given time a muscle just kind of gives out or something, or a joint or something. What does that mean? I mean, it could happen any day, and
right.
Carter takes care of his body probably better than anybody, so that's great. But I do worry about just something random could happen at some point. But.
Right.
Can't tell at the show. He's not holding back. I mean, nope. 2-step was awesome. Throughout the show, it was awesome. And I think it was Buddy's birthday.
Yep.
Also, which was pretty cool. So yeah, it was a good time.
And the encore, I think the Come Tomorrow song in the E1 slot is cool.
Yep.
Come On is that's great.
I liked it. People complained.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, they're like, oh, that shouldn't be E1. That should be somewhere else. That's a good spot for it. It was good.
I'd be happier with it in E1 than I am midway through the show. It just stands out to me more. I like that E1. I'm down for it. Like people really hate on Sister. Like
yeah.
E1, that's a perfect song for E1. So Come On. Usually you get one of those thinner kind of, not Dave Solo necessarily, but you get a thinner. Yep. Lighter song. I think Come On is kind of powerful to come out with.
That's actually a good way to put it. Yeah, you usually get like a You and Me, a Sister, a Space Between.
Whiter
something.
Shade of Pale or something, or when he was playing Waste and all that kind of, like.
Well, those were cool. I liked that.
Very cool. I'm not saying it's bad when it's thinner either. Like, I wonder this. Would you be cool if Dave came out and did a piano When I'm Weary solo, or had Buddy play for him and then he just sat in a stool and sang? Would you like that for E1?
That's a bad example because it hasn't happened, and under that, yes, I want that because it hasn't happened.
Think about the song if you can, and not any kind of commonality to it or rarity.
Yeah.
Or is it too much of an ending? Is it too much of an ending to be an E1?
No, it's not too much of an ending. It's just quiet. I mean, I don't know. I can't really make up my mind. I do think like that's like a natural like rebuild like, after an encore break in silence. It's a natural kind of like get back into it. And if you can come in heavy with it with like Come On, and then you just build on top of that, that's awesome. But it's also probably the most natural spot to have a When I'm Weary, a Sister, Little Red Bird, whatever.
Oh, I love Little Red Bird. Man,
Your eyes
remember when this band put out a B-side album that had like 4 tracks that are better than anything that is on Come Tomorrow. Remember that? It's like 9 years ago.
It's funny you say that. I was playing some of that at the tailgate
It's
from
really
that B-side.
good. It's really good.
Yeah, that was a good B-side.
Beach Balls, that's a song that doesn't see it enough either.
You know what's just crazy is we had that album. We had, what, three plus a jam of B-sides also come with the album. And then we know that some of these songs from Come Tomorrow were also from that time period. It's like there was a lot of music written right during those sessions.
Come On was a stand-up session or around that time, the next session with Batson in 06 or something?
Yeah, right after the album came out, I think they did some more work. Yeah, and it's from that time. A bunch of these songs are from that time.
Blows my mind to think about that song, they really just had it in a can from 12 years ago, and they were like, well, we got nothing else, let's just put that on there.
And no tease or like Dave strumming his guitar between stuff.
I thought about that the other day. I wonder if you went back and listened to shows, because he always noodles with stuff that they're currently working on.
Yeah.
You just don't know about it until later, right?
Right.
I just wonder if
like,
nobody cares to go
now
back and
we know
listen.
what that is. Now we know. Yeah, I liked Come On there. Some people didn't. It is what it is. And then Ants makes its I think 13th appearance.
Yep.
So it's had a pretty heavy rotation. It's a popular one. I've been down on Ants, which is kind of, I was thinking about it yesterday. It's like kind of funny because of the website or whatnot, the name of it. But I've been down on the song Performance Ants. They changed it up in Deer Creek. Not enough for me. It's still the same pieces that whatever, but they did try something different, which I'm like, okay, yes, keep trying something different. Let's find this new home for Ants, this new sound for Ants.
Did they get a violin?
They did not get a violin.
They still need a violin.
No, and the part of Ants I'm talking about is mainly the end of Ants, the solos, and what they're trying to do there. They did mix it up and get into a little bit different at the end of the solos. They started the same, but ended a little bit different. So I was a little bit happy about that, but still needs some work in my opinion.
So night 1 or night 2?
Night 2.
Yeah, I would.
For me, like I said, being at a lot of shows, night 1 had a lot of songs that I was okay to miss if I had to, like if I needed to go do something. Just it checked all the songs that I could step away from. Whereas night 2, I think I only stepped away from Nancy's. Made it back for Warehouse. It was a great show. Didn't want to leave.
So to talk about show variety, are we happy now, or is it a wait and see? How do you feel? Do you feel like this tour changed because of this weekend?
No. This is an awesome weekend, and I'm hopeful this coming weekend is SPAC, and I'm optimistic. So I think I don't think anything's changed. It's just a good sign, like you said. But I do think it probably will be more variety. They seem to be adding songs pretty frequently now, and maybe it's just getting into the rhythm. I don't know. We got 2 shows in Canada before that, and I don't want to be mean to Canada at all. And this is only from my memory. I didn't actually go look it up, but in my opinion, Canada gets a disservice in shows over these years. They just have not been, the best shows, set list wise at least. So that would be very interesting to me to see how these next 2 Canada shows go, and are they again kind of just average, or do they raise the bar?
On Twitter, Michael Twigo at Lego My Toygo, he asked, to that point, over the last 5 shows, the band has debuted 6 songs. Do you think the band will continue this trend of debuting multiple songs each weekend?
That's a lot of songs. And after night 1 of Deer Creek and getting 2 debuts, and someone's like, hey, are we going to get more debuts on night 2? I'm like, that seemed like a stretch. Now we did.
I don't know if I agree with you. It's a lot of songs.
6? Since when are we talking about it? That's since Milwaukee. I mean, there's 4 from Deer Creek.
Yeah, no, I know. I just don't think. Every year that goes by, their catalog gets larger. They got a lot. But I'm surprised at the trend. I think back to that 2015 or 16, whatever tour it was, where they started the first 12, 15 shows was a liberation. Now, they don't need to do that. But, I mean, the fact that two-step is probably considered a liberation, that's my point. My point is, or that I was making earlier, was two-step should not feel like a liberation. But I think up to this point, things have been so static that even
I like the breaks, though. I mean, just on two-step, do you like that they took two-step and ratcheted it way down and only played it 5 times in 16?
I think that's okay.
I think that's great, and it builds this excitement.
It makes room for other songs. But the point that I'm following up with it is that 15 of the songs were played every other night so far this tour. Right. So I like that they're starting to mix in more. But can I make a point here that I was browsing the boards, which I'm loath to do sometimes, and this is Renate Rossi. Thank you for the comment. You're on Facebook and you made some comments, but the last one you just said is Buddy is broadening his DMB catalog. Hopefully that continues for the latter half of the tour. Can I just put this out there? Dave Matthews Band does not have a piano in its music. By and large, the Dave Matthews Band songs don't have parts that require a piano. Okay. The piano, Butch Taylor, they jam and this and that. But listen to Lionel Graves in the album. It doesn't have a piano. Buddy learning songs does not affect the set list. Because you know what he can do? I don't know this song. I'm going to pick my hands up and not play. Or what? It's in the key of E? Okay, I'll jam. I'll contribute. But Buddy not knowing a song does not prevent this band from playing a song. Can we please get off the Buddy's learning to play? He's a professional musician. If he knows what key the song's in, he can jam. Or he cannot. But it's not stopping them from mixing the song up. This kind of thing, this excuse making, dropped me. I'm sorry. You hit a nerve.
Wow, we hit something there. We found something.
That's the most apologist take. I mean, look at the data and then make an argument. Not like, oh, he's trying to, poor Buddy. Give me a break, man. He's not holding the band back at all. So I don't think that's going to make a difference at all. But
yeah, I don't think it's
Buddy. Before I got sidetracked there, sorry. I was reading the boards, and Ricky H24, one of our longtime members, he said that the problem is the Stone and Pig will replace other gems like You Never Know and Typical. Typical hasn't been played since New Hampshire, and You Never Know vanished after a couple plays. The crap songs will still get played to death while a couple of gems get sprinkled in. And then Soccer, number 8, follows through and says that's 100% the problem. It's basically what the point is, 75% of the set list are predictable. And then songs like Two Step, The Stone, Captain, the Pigs, Typical, they get mixed in. So you've got like a couple of good song spots, and instead of keeping those songs around and then rotating a couple more good ones in, it seems like the Stone and Pig show up at the expense of those other songs that we want to hear. And meanwhile, the other 75% of the songs all stay the same, all get played in rotation, and it kind of stagnates. Where, why don't they just keep Typical around? Why don't they keep You Never Know around? Why don't they keep the Stone in there and then keep on sprinkling Pig and Dreaming Tree and, and Last Stop or something like that, instead of making it so, well, you're going to get 2 special shows, songs a show. It almost feels like, when I read that, it made sense to me.
It makes sense to me, that comment, after night 1 and before night 2. Night 1, it feels that way. Night 2 does not feel that way to me. And again, night 1, it has all these like checkbox songs, and yes, it actually makes you feel that way. I have all these checkbox songs, and I got these 2 tour debuts, and that was the only thing different, was the 2 tour debuts. Didn't even have anything that was like kind of, few plays, 2 or 3 or 4 plays. It was just tour debuts and then checkboxes.
Right.
Whereas night 2 was a better thing. So I agree with that comment for night 1. Night 2, I think they did a better job.
Yeah, and when I say that, Joe, I probably not. I don't mean to pick on a show in a bubble. I'm saying overall, and we talked about this briefly before. You said, Matt, do you have data that proves that? And I said, I don't. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's easy to get that feeling in an album tour because you're definitely going to get 6 album songs.
It is, but here's the thing. None of I promise you, I believe this to be honest, is that I don't look at them playing Come Tomorrow. Forget the fact that I think Come Tomorrow is a bad song, but I look at it and I almost just say, whatever, like, that's okay because it's an album tour. I'm okay with that. It's the songs that join it. Like, I'm Satellite, if that thing disappeared for 3 years, I'd probably be okay with it. And I'm not trying to pick on a single song.
Right. those three. I mean, it's crazy how frequent Crash, Satellite, and You and Me are just been played over the last years. I mean, it is heavy rotation.
Yep.
Heavy rotation.
Yep. And I think we've had situations where if they played Last Stop every night, people would probably get sick of it. I settle on that if you had 5 full, 6 full, you could even do 7 full shows worth of songs. You could have 140 different songs, and if you mix those up and draw a set list from them, it'd be a lot. I think you'd have the best of both worlds, because I just think variety would satisfy almost everybody. You've got enough hits where even the casual fans will get something that they're going to love every night, and it doesn't need to be You and Me 3 out of every 4 shows.
Right. And there's 2 types of variety. There's tour variety, but I think there's venue variety too. And if we can look at both of those things, and like we said, Deer Creek hadn't had 2-step since 14. I mean, then that's cool. I like that going to that venue could give you some songs you hadn't had, and then maybe 2-step doesn't get played at Deer Creek for a while again, but maybe it does pop up at a venue that hasn't had it in a while.
Yep. I mean, we do hear that when Dave writes set lists, he refers back to data that shows past songs played there over the past few years. What's weird is we have the hub, and then the Twitter on DMB Live shows you like the last time it was played at the venue. It certainly, if you saw the song last year, it does not protect you against seeing it again this year. That's what I have seen. Yeah. So I'm sure it's worked in some ways, but I don't know exactly how much it's actually referred to when writing the set list.
Yeah, there isn't like, oh, we played this last year, so we'll stay away from it.
Right.
I think it seems like consecutive shows weigh in more within a tour, weigh in more heavily than past venue set list.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So we've been at this about 40 minutes now, Joe. Do you want to take a quick break here?
Let me check my beer level.
Yeah, check.
Let's take a break
on that. Yeah. When we get back, I think we got some stuff to talk about. We got to talk about that awesome mix on the SiriusXM broadcast. By the way, that I know you were at the show. People at home, man, they were freaking out because it sounded really, really good.
Did it? That's awesome.
It did. I can't wait to talk about it. And then we got Crumbo's been a monster. We've got the tapes out. So the two Deer Creek shows, man, I'm streaming them already. It's great. And then we've got listener questions. So let's just take a really quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for hanging with us. Joe went to get a beer. He changed his shirt. So what do you have over there to show me?
All right, so the one I talked to you about, this is like a big boy. I don't know how big is it? You can't even tell, can you? Bigger than a normal bottle. Oh, it's a pint. Okay.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen a pint?
No, not that bottle you're holding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a shred session. It's apparently Three Floyds and Pizza Port Brewing Company. It's like a joint collaboration.
It's a collab,
yeah. And it's a session IPA. So I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
No, but go ahead and start hitting it. Sessions are a little lighter.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't say the alcohol on here. If it did, it got ruined in the in the cooler.
We were talking during the break about the debutante stub and DMB Hub. Alexander asked, can somebody explain the debutante stub? I want to know what songs I heard to earn it. Right now, we do not collect that information and report on it. The debutante stub basically means you've seen 10 or more songs debuts. And up until a couple days ago, there was a bug where if you were at a show in 2004, it was June 17th, where Crazy Easy was played for the first time and Hello Again and all those songs, you had 5 debuts that show. Previously, before I fixed this bug, it was only it would only count for 1 song. So obviously you saw 5 songs debuts. That wasn't fair. So we fixed that anyway. We're thinking about having it eventually fleshed out where you can see the songs you've earned, but that's down the line a little bit, and we'd have to update the app to display that information. It could be coming, but I've got it added to the list. We'll see if we can get to it, but that's a debutante stub. And we do have the 2-night stand and 3-night stand coming down the pipe very soon here, as well as Gone Streaking, which I think you just earned, right, Joe?
Well, I've earned it previously, but I would have earned it again. Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Five shows in a row.
Yes, 5 in a row in a single tour. Yes.
Yep. I met some people at the tailgate that were had earned their gone streaking, which was awesome. And just a shout out to everyone that came out to Deer Creek tailgate. So many people stopped by and said hi, which more than most venues. It was awesome. So thank you everyone that stopped by at Deer Creek. Too many to name. Thank you for all the kind words. Thank you about the feedback on the podcast. It was awesome talking to you guys.
Can I comment on somebody tweeted at us, Joe? Normally I wouldn't know about this, but someone said that they ran into you in the lots. I was happy to hang out with you. It was Jason Lamer at Notice Lame 24, and he said a great meeting Joe in the lots Friday and Saturday. So that's of course right. He asked me what I wanted to hear the most, so I told him Shotgun. He looked at me and said, "Come find me tomorrow when they play it." I got so pumped thinking he had insider info. So, I mean, let this be a lesson. One, Joe is definitely capable of being full jerk mode, for sure.
It's funny you say that because that was like the phrase of the weekend. We were saying everything was full jerk, so that's kind of funny that you're saying that.
And also, I got so pumped thinking he had insider info. Well, listen, sometimes you learn things the hard way.
I wanted to be positive. So when I'm talking about shows, even if I had insider information or I had the opportunity to get insider information about what was going to be played, I don't want it. And actually, Matt, you can vouch for that, right? Because I think you did have some insider information and asked me if I wanted to hear it, and I told you no, right?
I tried, yes. I said I had the set list, and I did. And Joe says, "What? You're not even at this show. How do you have the set list?" But I had it. And I said, "Do you want to know?" And I wanted to hit him with it so bad because this was night one, and I said I was going to tell him that they're going to play. They've got like ants into Halloween and into like that they're going to like tease this or whatever. I was going to hit him with it, and I was going to say, "Just kidding, it's Jimmy." But
I don't want to know. And if I had insider information, I would turn it down. Was it related to show set list and what's going to get played? And it's been mentioned to me before. It can go either way. Some people say, "Oh, I saw the set list. It's going to be great." It's like everything's in perspective of the person, blah, blah, blah. So I just don't want to know anything. Don't even give me an indication. So I was just being positive. I was like, let's do this. Let's have it. And then tomorrow, let's celebrate that it got played. I was just positive, no inside information. But Jason was awesome. It was good talking to you. Sorry to mislead you. Hopefully Shotgun is in your future.
But you're not kidding about depending on who you're telling information to, how they might take it. Remember, we've been to a lot of shows together where people who have seen the set and we hadn't, and they said, "Wait, man, you're gonna love this show. Stuff that hasn't happened in 20 years." Like we've been told these things.
Oh yeah, it happens very frequently. Yeah,
and you're like, "Well, what?"
And now you're on tilt for the show.
Oh, you can only be disappointed.
Yeah, nothing could ever live up to the unknown.
Right.
You have the unknown, so I don't even want to know that. Or if somebody says like, "Oh, A+," I just ignore it. I just completely. They don't know what I want to hear. I don't know what they consider A+.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. We'll talk about it after the show, but before the show, it's off.
Right. So
you know what? The only time where I actually broke that rule. The only time where I broke that rule and actually looked at the set list in advance was for the encores of our Seaville parties, because we had to jet out of there and set up the Ants party because we were doing an after party, and it was like, man, we have a lot of work to do before setting up this party, and everyone's about to like descend on Mono Loco right after the show, so it was like. Let's find out what the encore is going to be, and if we aren't going to hate our lives, let's go prep for this party and we'll make up for it next time. That's the only time I think I may have cheated.
Yep. How are you grabbing all the sets most of the time when you post them from the Ants Twitter account after the shows? That's a great topic. I mean, I try to help people get set lists. Long ago, I used to collect them myself, and now I'm all about actually helping other people get it. And I don't know, maybe that's I don't know if we want to get into that now, or maybe a time for the next podcast. I can give some tips on. Let's talk about that, or not now. Let's save that for the next time because we've got a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, I think that would be a good teaser. But yeah, I would love to. A lot of people I think don't know how to get them, or would love some tips, and I think there's some key things you can do to maybe up your chances of getting a set list.
Ah, okay. So, yeah, I mentioned before the break that they streamed the first, the Friday night show. I was in our Slack channel chatting with some of our mods. They were loving it, and I've seen multiple people saying, "Listen, I had a glass of wine out on my deck. I had my stereo. I had it piping through my stereo. People were loving it." And
really?
I mean, add to that it was a cool show, right? I mean, at least the first half was pretty unique,
right?
But the mix, Joe, was really, really good. We've all heard of soundboards, right? And they sound unmixed. They sound very flat, and this was anything but. It was what I wanted. It's the kind of stuff I want to hear listening to a live show. I can't explain other way than it's the kind of mix I want to hear listening to it live. It sounded great.
That's really good to hear. I mean, I'm going to ask a pretty novice question, and I don't mean anything against SiriusXM here. I think does it depend on your method of listening? Because I feel like if you listen via quote unquote satellite,
right,
via a car or something, like the bit rate that they have to do, the quality rate is actually lower than if you were to listen to their internet channel.
Right. You
can get a higher quality stream. Were people listening to the internet stream, or does it matter?
So I don't know if it matters. I think it does. I don't know how people were listening. Nobody seemed to have a comment about the quality in terms of
negative.
Right, exactly. Nobody was nitpicking that. Now, from what I understand, I used to have satellite radio for a number of years. Is that obviously there's a finite amount of bandwidth to be set down,
right.
And from what I understand, it all goes through this algorithm that basically compresses the feed, but it's dynamic, like to the second or something. So, like a talk show radio host won't get as much because they don't need as much dynamic range. Where music will, but apparently it can change.
Variable bit rates.
Variable based on the type of sound it's playing. Now, I haven't had it for, I don't know, 3 years now. But the thing that was bugging me is as the prices continued to increase was that the quality was actually quite poor for music over the satellite. I don't know what the bit rate is, but I think the streaming on the internet is like 128 or higher. I think it's quite good. I don't know if they've improved it or if they've changed anything from the birds down to earth, but
that's what I was wondering too.
Pretty muddy. It was pretty muddy. A couple of years back.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. So I was listening to it through I signed up for the 30-day trial. I was just listening it through the web player. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think it probably doesn't hurt to try and go through the web player if you have the opportunity. I was doing Bluetooth from the phone, from the app, which is essentially the same thing, using the web, not using the satellite.
You were listening to it at the
show?
Not
the show. Well, I did open it. I did open it at the show because it's so curious. Like, and can I ask you this? Because maybe some people didn't listen this past Friday, and they're going to be doing it for the next 3 Fridays.
Right.
Showtime on night 1 was 8:11. This is from memory. I might be wrong, but it's 8:11. When did it hit the airwaves from the satellite perspective?
I think that's very close. I think it was essentially live plus your lag that you get from sending it up and sending it back down.
Okay. I opened the app during the show, SiriusXM app, to listen
They're
to
about
the
a
stream.
full song behind, I think.
Yeah, it was like the song ended, that would be my opportunity to listen, and it would be in the middle of the song or somewhere in the song, not near the end of the song when I was listening. So there was definitely a delay live. But I know there's a lot of confusion because the promos on SiriusXM were saying, tune at 9, and then the emails are saying, tune in at 8. And it's like, okay, which is it? And we all know that the band doesn't go on stage at 8. Yeah. So, Justin, for other people that maybe are going to be listening for the next couple Fridays, I was curious if there was any tips there.
I would assume it's about as close to live as it can be with the various levels of lag introduced through the transmission process. Yeah. But I think that's what's got a lot of people excited is we've got 3 more of these things. Talk about DMB Couch Tour, right? If there's no better, people have been doing the Periscope,
Right.
which apparently is okay now. You can do that, and security guards don't mob you for that.
I think it's too prevalent.
Boy,
You would need about a couple hundred people.
What's coming is that cell phone disabling technology.
Do they care enough to do that? I don't know.
You don't know. Money talks. Anyway.
And they do. It does for things that are one-timers. This band, at least right now, is not a one-timer, right? It's not like a comedy act where like you can't just make up new material every show. Like this is your material and you're going to reuse it. So that makes a lot of sense for that.
Yeah.
This is unique, and you don't really spoil somebody else completely with the Periscope.
Right. Well, I'm excited for the rest of them. I mean, I'm not a big Periscoper. I just, I don't need to. I see what they're playing live when they play it, and and if they do play it something special they come out with, then the tapers are doing such a good job. And boy, I certainly don't have to wait that long before they come out. I mean, the 2 week rule still exists. It's just a matter of common courtesy.
The tapers have been awesome.
They've been awesome. And
really cool. And then people are asking, like, oh, will they do we still need tapers if they're doing that? Like,
yeah.
No,
we
definitely.
Absolutely
There's
need
things
tapers.
that tapers can get, especially sound, like the audience energy that, a microphone pool from the band, soundboard pool is not going to capture. So it's cool to still have that taper perspective.
Yeah.
Can I give a quick rant on my take on D&B radio, like, couple days in?
You never rant. I would love to hear a rant.
Okay, I won't really rant. I've been giving it a lot of time. Been giving it a lot of listen. It's cool to have, first of all, and I think I was searching Twitter, and like every tweet about it is like, oh my gosh, D&B radio, this is amazing. Like it seems like a lot of people are still finding out about it, so that's really good. Now, for me, I did a lot of driving between all these venues, so I put in a lot of listens on it. If you're putting in a lot of time, I feel like they could do a better job. And they're not going to listen to this, but I'm going to say it. I think we can do a better job for people that are putting in a lot of hours. If you're listening to network, it's pretty much this. It's like they're pulling from just 5 live albums. They're pulling from A Gorge, Red Rocks, City, Field, Dave and Tim, Radio City, and like one other. It's just all the songs from those 5 albums for live cuts. They play a couple of those. Then they play just a couple the songs from the studio, and then they play a band pick. And it just started getting really repetitive just hearing from the same live shows. And this band has such a live catalog, and they're all shows that are previously released, like they're live tracks. They're not like we're getting something that's been pulled from a non-live track. So they're all previously released stuff. So we're not hearing anything new. Again, a little bit disappointing from a hardcore fan perspective, but I wish they would just have 150 plus albums. Like, why aren't we pulling from more than just these 5 live? And maybe they're going to rotate it. But I did the math because I have all the band's material digitally. All the band's live and studio material adds up to 14.2 days of content. Just if you were to play it straight, 14.2 days, 24/7, and that's without any band picks. So if they really wanted to do this, they could do that entire catalog and at the worst play things twice. Either worse, but even with band picks and interviews and all this other stuff and the live shows, they could have it where there's not a single thing to repeat. I was driving and I heard 2 One Sweet Worlds in a row. It played One Sweet World from it was One Sweet World from your face is hilarious. It was One Sweet World from City, and then One Sweet World from I can't remember the other one. Right back to back. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
They're trying to give you the live show feel, Joe.
I guess so. And it's weird. Like you'll get Carter commenting about like Ants Marching. I love this song. It's great. Blah blah blah. And then so you're like thinking, oh, the next song is going to be Ants Marching, and then it goes and plays like Granny, and you're like, huh? What? Why did we just listen to that interview? So I just wish I want a little bit more. I'm happy, like I said, and the feedback online is awesome, and it's cool to hear D&B whenever you can with the radio. I just want a little bit more from it. Yeah,
and it's not for you. I mean, we talked about that.
Yeah, it's not. I wish it was. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not.
Yep. Well, we're building out the catalog on D&B Hub, so some live stuff should be pretty easily accessible if you don't feel like downloading it too. That's the goal eventually.
I like that.
You gonna crack
I'm gonna crack this. Oh, that one didn't hit the floor.
I
Here,
want you to record that. I want to make that into a little clip.
I'm going to knock it off like a cat. Okay, there it goes.
There you go. Nice. Want to take some? Do you want to take some listener questions? Do you want to talk about the setlist game?
Thanks for all the questions, guys. It's been a little while since we've done some questions, so thanks, guys, for the questions. You want to throw out the first one?
Yeah. Matt Balls at the Matt Balls says, Matt, I know you've been down on the band a lot as of recent. Would you have enjoyed seeing the Deer Creek shows? Also, did you give the Friday Night XM stream a listen? Thanks for the question,
Matt.
Matt.
Ants Podcast.
Yes, he did hashtag. So my favorite part of this whole exercise was tweeting that send us your questions with the hashtag Ants Podcast, and most people send us our questions with no hashtag. It's like
can't be bothered with that extra work.
It's like those sweepstakes things. If you just read the fine print and follow the directions, you usually win because so many people disqualify themselves by not following them. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for the question, Matt. Would I have enjoyed seeing the Deer Creek shows? I think sure. And when I say that, I'm trying to be completely like, forget that I'm there hanging out with Joe and everybody else and seeing everybody at the tailgates and partying. I'll go to any 2-night stand or whatever and have a good time. But in terms of this, like, just drop me into the show and pull me out and I'd sit there the whole time. I think I would have enjoyed seeing the Deer Creek shows. Yeah, I obviously the highlights being, Pig in the Stone, going through these sets. Again and again, and Sledgehammer, 41, Yup song. When I give my thumbs up to songs, the only thumbs downs that got for me were Do You Remember, Samurai Cop, She, Jimmy Thing, and Space Between. You and Me is neutral, Crash is neutral. Bayou I like. I know that they play the crap out of it, but in terms of ending jams, that's one of the few that have the horn section that I actually think is good. But I think Stefan rocks the end of that more than anything. I love the bass line he lays down on that. But there's a lot to like about that. Jimmy's not going to ruin my night by any means. And night two, night two, yeah. I like So Right, Stay or Leave. I love, especially early. You Might Die Trying is another one that I really like. The jam on Nancy's Warehouse, even though I'm sure it's a shell of its former self without a violin, and I'm not saying without Boyd, I'm saying without a violin. I'm still on that train. Rhyme and Reason rocks. I like Shake Me. Two Step would have been cool to see where it's at after a little time off. And I love that encore. Come on, and then Ants Sans Violin, which is what I'm calling it from now on. It's no longer Ants Marching. It's Ants Marching Sans Violin.
That's an interesting retitle there.
Not the same song. Without
Not the same.
Yes, I would have enjoyed it. Yeah. And I did give the XM stream. We talked about it, but I think that's just the coolest thing. And if they can keep those shows interesting, I just think it's a big boon for the band to set that standard. Yeah.
Like it. Want another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see here. Jen Henson.
Hey, Jen.
Jen Henson, our mod.
Yeah.
Don't give thanks. Shout out to Jen. No cold shoulder when you see Jen. Do you think or know why there has never been a guest violin in history of the band? Because they've had a violin? is that a right answer?
But we've had guest saxophonists.
Right. Okay, that's a good point.
Never a guest bassist. But I would say sax and violin are equal parts.
Victor Wooten has been with the band.
Ah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
No guest drummer. Has Future played with him?
And then other than they've done collabs with the Roots, right? I think even when Victor's been there, I think it's probably been kind of band collabs, Flecktone collabs, Roots collabs. So that may be a little bit different.
Do you think it's possible that Boyd's just so much of a loose cannon that they didn't want to throw that? They didn't want to change the recipe up too much?
That's an interesting thing. Or maybe he's just very territorial and nobody, the band knew if we're going to introduce a guest violin, that they knew how Boyd would react and it would react negatively, and they just never wanted to go there.
I think the violin is so unique where one is enough. I don't. Whereas sax, you can have a soprano and a tenor playing. You could do different things. A fiddle is kind of, it's already really unusual to be in a band, and I just think Boyd was so good for a while, for a long time, certainly in all the 90s and the first half of the decade of 2000s, he was real, he was fine.
Yeah.
That I just don't think, I think as time went on, when you might think about a guest like that, where Boyd starts to kind of taper off, they were probably trying to avoid that sound more than anything, not bring it in. That'd be my guess.
Not add to it. How cool would it have been though? But some dueling violins for a show.
Oh, place would have went nuts.
Oh my goodness,
yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah,
I don't know why never. There's not a lot of people that can do that probably. At least that they want to bring on stage, right? Like full-time professional musicians. So, but it would have been sweet if it ever happened.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
I think something will happen. We will get a guest. I don't know why we didn't get one in the past.
I still got to think this band goes with a violinist long term.
I feel like like a multi-musician, like a multi-instrument musician, somebody that can play violin, but could potentially add.
That would be cool.
Something else in different songs. I don't know what that would be. I don't really know. I haven't thought too much about this, but if there's like another sound on the non-violin songs, that would be an add. I don't know.
Okay, Mike Wilson at Flames_the_man asks, will the Gorge have openers this year?
It's a good question. I haven't heard anything. They usually do, even when the other shows don't.
Like 16 was a good example of that, right?
Right. Yep.
Who'd they have? They had like Lake Street Dive, right?
You got it. Wow, good memory.
Man, they got a cool sound, but it's one of those sounds that's so classic and catchy where it's almost too catchy. Like whenever I listen to one of the songs, I'm like, it's in my head for 4 days after that. It's really weird.
Darn it. And then you're worn out. You're
yes,
like, oh.
yes. And it's not their fault because you guys rock. You rock too much.
Right. I would have to think. I mean, yes. Haven't heard though. So hopefully we'll be hearing that soon. I don't think it's a surprise that we haven't heard yet. I think they're usually pretty late announcing those.
Yeah. You got another question there?
Where are we at? How about Michael? Is it the same Michael? Lego Mike. Tiago, is that the one you did before? That's Michael. The one we did earlier. That's the one we did about 5 shows and 6 debuts. What other one would be a good question here? You got any?
Jen Hen had one more, I think.
Oh yeah.
She said what happened. She asked what happened to the live tracks releases.
So we had the 40 or 41? Gee, I'm losing track of the number. 42 with the one that was right before the holidays.
My opinion. New album.
Oh yeah.
First tour back after a year off. BTCS anniversary.
These are all reasons why we haven't had it and are likely not to have one anytime soon.
I think their plate is full. Yes.
That's cool. There's a lot of stuff. I'm not complaining. We got a lot of stuff to do. I mean, the last one had video, which was pretty sweet. And yeah, I think there's probably things already on the table for the rest of this year that we've talked about. So it's okay to have a little break here. Probably give it a little bit more. Give it a break, give it some focus when it returns.
Yeah. Yep. I wanted to make a couple more comments about our original topic here about the variety of the shows and satisfaction of the shows and the fan base and this and that I kind of glossed over. But there's one key thing. I know it's kind of a non sequitur, but I just want to go back to it, is that there are really 2 ways to look at the show in a set list. And I think we've seen this when it comes to two-step and the reaction to two-step. There's 2 ways to look at a show. Overall, just, do I like these songs? Boom. And within the context of a tour. And I think when you wall it off to a tour, it takes on the whole, like in the and I think when you look at the context of just, do I like these songs? Are these songs a big deal to hear? I think that kind of lends itself to maybe my point about two-step being not really that big a deal. It's two-step, folks. It's a great song. It's a monster of a song. but it's not really anything that should be having us looking for our fainting couches, right? If you look at it in the context of this tour, then yes, it's a debut after 24 shows. Do you see my point? I mean, I think we judge tours in the shows in the silos of the tours that they're in.
Right. You're saying, but say that again, why two-step should not be judged out by the tour?
So look at it from the tour standpoint. It's a very big deal that this song it's a tour debut. 25 shows in, here we go, and it's two-step, right?
Sure.
I'm looking at it, so take the tour out of it, and I'm like, guys, they played it last tour. They played it 5 times last tour. Why is this all of a sudden make this show the best show of the tour so far? I think if two-step hadn't been played for 3 tours, it'd be one thing. But it's not like it's even been on hiatus. It just hasn't been played for 24 shows this tour.
Well, no, yeah, it hasn't been played for shows, but it is definitely taking a break. It's been on a decrease. It hasn't been played as much as it had ever been played. It seems to be very selective now where they played it, and to be at a show where they, for whatever reason, you were at the show where they selectively added it.
Yep.
You know, it's being only played 1 every 10 shows now.
Yep.
Where before it was much higher. That's cool. I was at one of the places that was 1 out of 10. I feel special. Now, I think you said earlier that some people were saying this should be a live track.
Yeah, people are going way overboard with it.
That part's overboard, but there is a lot of things to be excited about this show. I don't know that live tracks it's at that level, but the fact that it got played and why Deer Creek was selected for it to return at, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about it, just maybe not that excited. Right.
Yeah, no, I just found it interesting is that you can look at the shows in a lot of different ways. You can, and one of these, here's an example that kind of gives you the point that I'm making. Go back to like a show from 2000, or go back to a show from 1998, and it's an album tour, right? And so you're looking at all of these set lists, and from 20 years later, I'm looking at them and I'm like, I would kill for this show. Let me just pick one. Giant Stadium 98. Best of What's Around, PMP Rapunzel, Crush, Don't Drink the Water, Recently, Back to Alexandria with Big Voice Jack and Bella and Butch. So Much to Say, Bridge, Too Much, Pig, Jimmy Thing, For the Beauty of Winona, Billy's, Two-Step, Stay, Encore's Crash, and Watchtower. It's like, if that was played Deer Creek Night 2, I think the servers would have melted down. People would have called their doctor. Everybody's insurance would go up because everyone would just have passed out. I mean, can you imagine that being played right now and the reaction? But during that tour, it was probably old hat. Yeah, I've seen all these shows. So that's why you look at a show within its tour, and it looks very different when you judge it than if you look at it overall in terms of, you get a little bit removed from those sets.
So, but which do you think is the more appropriate way to look at it?
I mean, that's a tough thing. When I was finishing up what I was saying, I was like, I don't really know what my point is on this, but
well, I'm going to say it's like you can't really compare that show to today. Like, yeah, that show was amazing for that time, and it is also amazing for a fan of that time. A fan of the past 5 years may not like that show at all. Mm-hmm. Not in the same way that you and I read through that and are like, holy moly. They might go through it and be like, oh man, I don't get cornbread, I don't get Seven, I don't know what it would be, but they might not be as excited about that as we are, and it's hard to compare the two. Yeah.
But also you can say like none of these songs are something they couldn't, well, maybe like For the Beauty of Winona or maybe Back to Alexandria, we wouldn't expect them to be able to play that, but none of these songs here are songs that are that far off in terms of the last time they've played. Basically, all of these songs,
if they were only playing to a venue of fans of the 90s, they would do that. I think the problem is they're playing to a venue of not just fans of the 90s, fans, current fans, older fans, so you're forced to now, for lack of a better term, shotgun or scatter across all the different albums.
Yeah, I want to see the songs sprinkled in and played 4, 5, 6 times a tour. More songs that do that.
Yeah.
Again, you like the ones that are played once and that's it. It's kind of rare. I got the Only a Dream So Real at SPAC one year. It's just random. It's cool when you're at those shows for sure.
I think there's songs that should be ones, but those are the more songs that I think need to be like not really like sought after songs. Because I feel like if there's a lot of people want, I don't know what would be a good example that people are always chasing.
Last Stop.
I don't know. Last Stop. I feel like that shouldn't be a one and done. That's a good one that give people the opportunity to have a chance. Like if I hear like it's only going to get played at one show out of 50, and it's like, it's too wild. But if I hear it's like I got more chance, like good, I hope it's going to be at one of the shows that I'm going to, that I'm going to hear it. Now something like I don't know, Kit Kat Jam. Yeah, you don't hear like a lot of people saying. I know, Kurt from D&B Tattoo wants Kit Kat Jam, but not a lot of people. So if that's the one off and you happen to be at it, awesome. But something that people are kind of more hunting for, I wish would get played, within reason that you can have a chance of catching. Not like it's 1 in 50 chance, maybe a 1 in.
That 2003 tour was insane. That summer tour that year, because they were dick back. And when I think about it, I'm like, that was like only 5 years removed from Before They Got Streets. That album had just come out. They open with Stay, If I Had It All, You Never Know, 41, Pay for What You Get, Loving Wings Into Where You Going, which, woof, I can't imagine a lower dip than that. But
stop it.
Then it's Kit Kat Jam, When the World Ends, Cry Freedom, Last Stop, Lover Lay Down Into the Stone. You get an Angel Tease Into Jimmy, so that's the other dip. And then you get Dreaming Tree and Billy's. And the encore.
People want Angel. Angel's been gone for too long, but people weren't able to see it at that point want to hear Angel. So it's kind of come back.
With Come Tomorrow, everything is fair game. Bring back Angel for variety. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy times. Those kind of set lists. I wish we could. Yeah, we'll get some of those songs to come back in the rotation and at least get a chance to hearing them and not just be like, oh, they're probably gone forever. Or
yeah,
at least...
it's tough to remove yourself from the tour silo, I think.
Yeah.
It's tough to
and
see.
I think like a point I'm trying to make is you have to look at the tour because you can't compare now to 93, can't compare now to 96, can't compare now to 2000. They're different.
Well, absolutely. I disagree. Absolutely, you can compare them.
You can compare them, but it's not a fair comparison.
Life's not fair. Oh, yeah. So, well, I think we've been at it for quite a while here. What's next? What's coming up next? We have,
Couple Canada and SPAC.
That's right.
Or as Matt likes to call it, Spock.
No. I think anybody who's listened to the show long enough knows exactly what the truth is when it comes to that. They'll be in Toronto on Tuesday, I think.
Yep.
The Budweiser stage in Toronto. What is that?
That's the old Molson, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Was I at that one? Where was the 41?
That was indoor.
That was.
And Molson's
Ottawa.
the outdoor, I believe.
Right. That's right. So I've not been to Molson.
Yeah.
It seems like Rapunzel gets played like crazy at these shows. So be ready for that.
You're giving away some set list tips.
I am.
Set list game pick tips.
And the Canadian War Museum, that's in Ottawa, and they have not played there before. So
I think that might be part of a festival.
It is
the
RBC Blues Fest.
Yes.
The RBC. Yep. And then it's SPAC, which is, I don't know. It depends on what part of the country you're from, but it is absolutely one of the top 2 highly most anticipated weekends of the summer if you're a DMB fan.
It's definitely something to be seen. Definitely something to do. Check off the list. And it's a late SPAC, which is refreshing to get back to.
Usually it's before the 4th, no later than the 4th.
Right.
I think they've had a couple on that weekend. Anthony Melia from Facebook asked when my last show was. It was last Gorge, 26. 2016 Gorge.
Yep.
And I was going to be done. And I still might be, actually. Joe's been trying to convince me to join him at Gorge this year.
You are joining at the Gorge.
I tell you, Deer Creek has somewhat piqued my interest, I will say.
Good.
And if the band keeps this kind of, if they surprises and mixing it up, and if they widen the rotation a bit, then it's a good chance. But I'm leaving myself an out.
I get so many questions about when is Matt, what is Matt going to any shows or whatever? It's a frequent question I get, and I'm like, he's got to do the Gorge. I mean, come on, he's got to do it. And so I know you're like, one day you're on when the band sneezes on their left hand, and one day you're off when they sneeze on the right hand. So I'm just got my fingers crossed that the sneeze is on the right hand.
Well, they're always pissing in your ear, that's for sure. Right ear or left. Alexander Brent says, "Liberate Matt."
Yes, liberate Matt. Get him to a show.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see if I'm out there. There might be some podcast or some live or periscoping, not the show, my goodness, but in between, or there could be some stuff. I think the cell networks have improved out there now.
I thought we even talked about doing a group photo with the other some of the mods of the forums at the top of the hill. I thought you were signed up for that too.
I don't remember putting my name to any paper. Don't remember that.
Yeah, well, we'll get you to the top of the hill on one of the days, and anybody that wants to meet up.
Yep, that would be fun. We'll be very well announced and covered on that, so keep an eye on us for sure.
Got some time yet still.
Tour's about half over now, right?
Yeah, it was just the halfway mark with Deer Creek, so we are there now, halfway, which, by the way, is super depressing to me. I don't know about anybody else. Probably if you haven't had your show yet, you're like, yay, my show's getting closer. But super depressing to me that we're now on the down part of the hill as a part of the up part. So that makes me a little sad. And all it makes me want to do is think about a fall tour, which I have heard zilch about.
Interesting. Well, look on the bright side, Joe. The shows are probably going to get more interesting this back half of the tour. If I had to wager, I would say they are going to get more interesting.
Okay. I'm excited about that.
We will see. Yeah. You got anything else to add before we wrap up here?
Actually, hey, I just saw somebody post on Facebook. Matt W. Just gave a shout out. I did meet you at SPAC. He was an awesome guy. You had an extra ticket and was I met him at CMAC, and he was helping raise some money for charities out there with some extra tickets. So good guy. Bought me a beer at the show too, which I couldn't tell you the last time that's happened. So thank you. I send all the beers to the tapers, but I drank that one. So thank you. Thank you, Matt, for that. It was awesome to meet you. And I had something else to say about you, Matt, when I thought about it after meeting you, and I can't remember what I was going to say, but thank you again. No, I'm excited I don't think I have anything else to wrap it up on.
What are your next shows you're going to? Do you have, you're going to SPAC, I'm guessing.
I'm going to SPAC, and I would love to do Canada. My passport is on my table. I don't think I'll be able to pull it off. But
I'm jealous of all the East Coast shows you get to go to. I mean, when you live where you are, or where I used to live in upstate New York, I mean, there were 6, 8, 10, 12 shows within a 6-hour drive back then. Then again, the tickets were like $39 a piece, so it's a little more easy to stomach. But I like hearing that now you've kind of turned SPAC into your home base, where it used to be mine. Is kind of, I'm jealous, I'll be honest with you.
I took it over for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good place. Somebody asked me, like, what's your favorite place? And it's like impossible to pick. And I love SPAC, and I call SPAC home in a lot of ways. But I mean, just after this, Deer Creek was just so much fun. I miss Alpine, and getting you out to the Gorge later this year is just, it's going to be hard to top that too, right? You at the Gorge, yeah. So it's hard to pick winners, but SPAC is just, it's a good time. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, we are looking forward to the recap on that, Joe. So, make sure you're home in time to throw your laundry in and join us for another episode of episode 95 it'll be at
nice. At that time. We might have to do that while the Canada, the third Canada show is going on, because that's on Sunday. And also on Sunday is the World Cup final.
That's right. That's right.
France is still in it.
Who's your
Viva
team?
la France.
Who are you rooting for?
France. Viva la France.
Oh, I got to go
Still
for
in it.
England.
Well, if they meet, it will have to be in the final. That would be pretty awesome.
That'll be a cool final. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Joe, thanks for taking time out of your laundry and ironing to join us. Really, really value your time and your input. And I'm glad to hear you got back safe. And I love that nice little sunburn you're sporting there.
Oh, this is a tan. This is what my skin looks like with a tan.
That's a Polish tan all the way. Oh, I think my body temperature went up 3 degrees just looking at you.
It's not burnt. It's bad lighting then.
Okay. Joe, always good to chat with you, man. Thanks everybody out there for listening. We will catch you next time.
Cheers.